pretty much the very, very beginning. And later on, you guys can start adding more commands to make things work, okay? So let's see. So when we talk about file redirection, sorry, I'm having issues. File redirection. So whenever you think about your console, right? Either things appear on your console or you enter them, right? So from the shell to the console, that would be standard output. From your keyboard to the console, so things that I enter will be part of standard, would be input, right? And that's how a program would know what it needs to run, what's happening, what else you want to, I don't know, changes you want to make to the program. So that's standard input. Now, standard output, there are two different types of standard output. There is standard error and just regular standard output. So standard output would be things that I see on the system, right? So if I did LSL right here, that's my standard input, right? So usually what's happened in standard input is that, standard output, the two streams, standard output and standard error, are printed on your console, on your screen, on your console, right? So if I wanted to do ls, I think you guys have done it multiple times. Let's see, what if I want to ls Maryland and New Jersey? All right, so it told me everything that was in the Maryland folder, but there is no such thing as a New Jersey folder. So right here, what I've highlighted is the standard error. So that is the error stream that gets printed on my console, and the standard output. They both get printed at the exact same time. If I wanted to separate the two, I could use these operators for standard output and standard error. So if I do, so let's say I'm going to say, let's see. Let's call this results.txt. As you can see, nothing happened, right? But if I did ls.maryland, three things flash on our screen, right? That would be my standard output. So here what happened is results. So if I open this file, which was not there before, right? There you go. Everything that would be printed out on my console has now been redirected to a file that I just created like this, results.txt. Now, let's see if I do the exact same thing and I put New Jersey, what would happen? New Jersey. Okay, so whenever I do, this is my, my command, right? Whenever you use this, only the standard output gets rerouted to, for example, a file, right? The standard error still comes to the console. Now, what if I want to do the opposite? Maybe I want the standard error to print to a file, but not the standard output, right? I would do 2 greater than, and let's call this something else, maybe errors. Let's see what happens. As you can see, now the standard output has been printed out, but the standard errors have been redirected to a text file. So this one automatically redirects the standard output. This one automatically redirects the standard error. Does that make sense? I'm going to take that as a yes, it's okay.
No, can you just explain that one more time?
One more time. Okay. So in terms of data flow, we have 3 types of stream, right? We have standard input, standard output, standard error. So standard input is what I'm going to enter, what I'm entering from my keyboard into the console, right? That makes usually a lot of sense to developers. This is what I'm inputting into the system. And if you think in terms of program, if the program is like, hey, what's your name? What games do you want to play? What I'm inputting into the program, that's called the standard input. That's the stream that the program is going to, let's say, pick from in order to run the program, for example, right? So that's from me, the keyboard, to the console, to the shell, and that's going to interact with the operating system. Now, in the opposite direction, we have standard output. What comes out of the program, what comes out of anything I'm asking the program to do, okay? That's this. Those are standard output, and there are two types of standard output. There's standard output and standard error. So even if there's an error and an output, both of these are printed out on the system, on your console, right? This right here, standard output, right? If there is an error, this right here represents the standard error. There's no such file directory called New Jersey. That's the standard error. So usually, and you guys have done this before, where you try to grep and it told you permission denied, and maybe it has other things that print out. That's the standard output and the standard error printed out together. So if I did New Jersey, Maryland, right? We know New Jersey is not there, but Maryland is there. So it printed out the listing in long form for Maryland, but since there was not anything for New Jersey, the standard error stream, right, told me that there was no such thing. So this is kind of cute, right? Because I put two things, it's kind of visible. However, if there was a wall of errors, you would not be able to see the what you're looking for if it's standard output, for example, right? So what I like to do is I like to redirect the errors to a whole different file so I don't have to see it and just read my standard output, right? So if I wanted to, I would say, so here is how you redirect things, right? So with just this, you're gonna redirect the good stuff to a, so think of it as a stream. The standard output, the good stuff, the thing without errors would be redirected to a file. And I'm gonna call this file results, right? I can create anything I want. I could have called this una.txt. So that means everything that's a standard output is gonna get pulled out, is gonna get redirected into a file called results.txt, right? And it's going to leave the errors out on my screen. So now I know where my errors are. This is my result. This is everything else, right? I could do the opposite, where I can just redirect the stuff I don't want into a file. That way, all I see are the good output, I want to say, right? So now, as you can see, same command, but I redirected a different stream. This one, I redirected the good stuff to results.txt. This one, I rerouted the errors to a different text file, right? That way, whenever I'm troubleshooting or I want to see exactly what the problem was, I can just open that file and see, that's what the error was, okay? So right now, it doesn't look like much, but I know that when I did Bandit, and sometimes whenever you do Thief, you'll have a wall of permission denied, permission denied, permission denied. And I think it was maybe between level 10 and 12 where I couldn't find what I wanted, although it was within the wall of text. But if I had divided my standard error and my standard output, I would have been able to see the answer right away. So think of it as redirecting standard output and standard error, right? So let's say now I want to see what's in Charles, right? I'm going to, maybe not in Charles, maybe, let's see, maybe I just want to see what's inside of Virginia. Cool, this is what's inside of Virginia. If you remember, in states 2, there is a file called results, right? Results.txt. So we already know what this does. This creates or append, no, it doesn't append, sorry. It creates or writes over a file, right? If I wanted to add to a file, I would use this. So two greater than symbols, right? So right now in my results, what's in my results.txt? Sorry, nope, definitely not wanted. In my results.txt, I have everything that was inside of Maryland, right? So now in my results.txt, sorry, this shouldn't be here. In my results.txt, I would like to add the content of the Virginia directory. And how would I do that? I could do ls, and what is Virginia? And I could decide to append it to the results.txt file. All right, so let's try. Okay, let's see if I did it. I'm going to open the file now. Oh, it didn't give me Virginia though. I'm not sure why. But as you can see, I did add the content, both content, right? Let's see if I could actually add the word Virginia. I want to, you know what I'm going to do? I want to rewrite over results, and I actually wanted to say Maryland and Virginia this time. So how about we do this? LSL, let's do Maryland, Virginia, .txt. Okay, so this is going to rewrite over it, while this was just appending it. Okay, let's see if it works. So let's open it again. .txt. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so let's say I wanted to add both. All I have to do, I can write over or I can just append. But when I appended, it didn't show me Virginia. I'm not sure why. Usually it does. Don't know what's going on. But here's the difference between append and write over or create, I guess you could say. So far, any questions?
Yeah, I don't get how it wrote over it. Like, you know.
So this symbol right here. Okay, so.
Like, I guess I don't get the difference between the first one. I guess I don't understand what it means to write over.
To write over? Okay. So if I open results.txt, this is what comes out. Do you agree? I open cat result.txt, correct?
Yeah.
Now that's what's happening in my file.
But I guess I don't understand how, when you put Maryland and Virginia, what was it rewriting over in results?
So the problem that I was having earlier is that it wasn't showing Virginia. See how it was like Prince George's County in total 8? I wasn't sure what happened to my title, but now I just really wanted my title that said Virginia. So it was supposed to, whenever I did LSL Virginia and send it to result, it was supposed to show me this part. But for some reason, it skipped the word Virginia. So I decided to redo it. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I just don't get, like, like for me, it looks like it just added on Virginia rather than rewrote it.
Oh, so you don't, so those 2 lines right here is what I was looking for. Something happened here. I'm not sure what happened here. I was supposed to see the word Virginia in the space, but I guess something happened where it went missing. So I just wanted, okay, so if I did ls, hold on. Maryland, Virginia. This is what I was looking for. I wanted this whole thing to be printed out in my file. But for some reason, whenever I did Maryland, this printed out. And when I decided to add just LS Virginia, it just printed this part out. I don't know what happened to the space and the word Virginia. So I just decided to rewrite the whole thing over with the 2 directories, Maryland and Virginia.
Oh, you put the 2 directories in there. And that's what makes it, okay.
But what I did
thought you
is
just added the word Maryland and
Virginia.
Virginia.
No. So I added both directories to the same file. But earlier what I did is I added 1 directory and then I came back and added the 2nd directory. But for some reason, something got eaten. I don't know what happened.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right, let me clear this because it gets messy. Actually, let me fix, because I think now my results looks different, right? So, okay, so now I should have a results that looks, all right, cool. All right, so this you've understood. This is mostly for standard, this is for standard output. This is for rewriting, for adding to a file, not writing over it. This is if you want both you just want the standard error. Move it out of the way. Okay, so if you wanted both the standard error and the standard output within a file, so this one will only get you the standard output, and the 2 greater than will get you only the standard error, right? If I want both of them, I could still do it. Hold on. So let's do ls. Let's see if it'll work. If I do Maryland and New Jersey, actually, let's try Maryland, Virginia, and New Jersey. We know that New Jersey is not a directory, right? I'm gonna say go ahead and move over in the results.txt. So this is gonna pull what? Standard output or standard error? Anyone? Output. Yes, yes. And then go ahead and move standard error. Let's see. I haven't tried this in a while, so hopefully it's going to work. Ah, awesome. Okay, I'm going to see. So I've decided that I want a listing of Maryland, Virginia, and New Jersey, right? We already know New Jersey does not exist, so that's going to be part of the standard error stream, right? Whenever you do this, you get the standard output. The standard output of this command is going to go into results.txt, and this one will give me the standard error. So the standard error of this output will go into errors.txt, okay? Let's see. All right, Maryland, Virginia, and let's do cat errors.txt. No such file directory, so I know there's something wrong and I have to troubleshoot this problem right here. Okay, so within one command, I can summon this to go to one file and the rest to go to the other file. Okay, what if I wanted everything, the errors, the standard error, and the standard output? So instead of it being pulled out right here, right, starting with ls, Maryland, Virginia, I want all of this to go to the same file. What I would do is I would use, what is this, the and symbol, greater than, and then let's call this, I don't know, other file, .txt. Okay, let me see. Let's open it. There you go. It printed everything out within that file. Okay?
What's the difference between that and just having it without anything?
Which one? This one?
The and, yeah.
So if you had just this, it would bring out the standard output. If you have the two.
Sorry, like if you just, so the point of this is moving it into the other file, right? Because if you just didn't have that, it would still start the same thing. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So earlier I brought out the standard output and the standard error into two different files. See how they got sifted? Two different files, right? This one, I wanted both the standard output and the standard error to be in the same file. You see that? Only one file and they still, so that's, if I didn't put this, right? If I just erased all this, it would have shown on my screen, right? If I did this, you see it? You have the standard error and the standard output, right? I wanted both streams to be redirected to a file. In order to do that, I have to do the ampersand and then the greater than symbol. And all of this gets redirected to the other file, that's .txt. You see that? All of it is in one single file. All right, what are your questions? Anyone? Is everybody okay? Is that why it's so silent?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. All right. So the other thing, I'm not really a fan of this one, but we're gonna try. All right, let's create a file and let's put, I wanna say 4 different colors within the same file, okay? So let's do cat, I don't know, colors. All right, so I'm gonna say red, orange, blue, purple. And you guys should be pretty, you guys should remember the sort command, but we're gonna do it again, okay? Control C to get out of there. Here's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna do sort, which is a command, and I'm going to do this new, what should we call it? Symbol, right? Which is the lesser, smaller than, I guess, is the symbol. Then I'm going to say colors. So what's happening is my file is going to go into the command. So if you think about the streams or the way the data is flowing, it's going into the opposite direction. So sort is going to technically read all the commands, everything that I've entered into this file. But that's not just the end of it. I want sort to sort out through that file, and I want the output to go into a new, sorry, that's not how you spell that, into a new file. Colors, so one file goes into the sort command, and whenever it's done sorting it out, it hasn't changed the colors file, but it's going to give me this output right here. The standard output is going to go into the new colors file. So now new colors should be the sorted version of colors. I'll do it one more time, okay? So I have new colors and I have colors, right? So if I did new colors, here you go. It is the sorted version of it. So I don't usually see this a lot, and I don't really like it. I would rather pipe and grep things. I'll show you how to pipe this very same command. I don't know. I prefer using pipe than this one. I think this thing is kind of confusing. How are we doing?
So you basically like create a new one with the sorted version of color. Exactly.
It's all about figuring out how it's flowing, right? Sorry. So colors, the content of colors is going to technically go in the command. That's a weird way of explaining it, but colors is getting sorted out right now. But if I print out colors again, nothing has been changed. This is what it would look like. So once the sort command sorts out colors, it needs to be output somewhere else, right? I need to have the output of this sorting. So I'm going to give it another file where it can sort it out.
So why do you have to do that? Just to keep the record of the original data input or whatever?
Well, colors is never changed. If I do cat colors again,
well, that's what I said. You just do it to keep the like original record of what you just did.
Correct. Okay. There is another way that we have practiced this though, and that's with the piping. Do you guys remember this? In I think that was what, like day 1 or day 2. The thing with piping, so I'm not a fan of this one, and I'm definitely not going to test you on this one. But this one, you guys are going to be piping is used very, very often. So what's gonna happen is the standard output of the first command is what you get here, right? So this one is technically opening the file, and then you pipe it into the standard input of the next command. So think about it like a chain, right? The result of the first command goes into the next part. So cat colors gets open, and then I'm saying, okay, go ahead and sort that, right? But as I said, nothing happened. So hold on a second. Let's see if it works, or if, yeah, okay. So this is function or task number 1. The result of task number 1 gets put into task number 2. What am I sorting into? Something called new colors 2? The answer from the first function, right? Or the first command. That's how piping works. So if there was like yet another pipe, so command 1, the result gets placed into command 2. When that is done, it goes into command 3. A little bit confusing, but you guys have used it for grepping things, right? Whenever you did this and then you did, I don't know, grep, I don't know, red, what you were doing, you were saying, go ahead and open this file and then search for red. So that's how piping works. If it's confusing, that's okay. We're going to do a little bit more of piping and grepping and regular expression next week. How's everyone doing so far?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Will we be like missing anything if we just stick to pipe instead of the other less than caret sign? Like, is there something that does that pipe doesn't do?
You mean this one? Yeah, so for example, when I did this, so for example, whenever you will do nmap, you're not going to pipe anything. So there's other use. Of course, you can kind of substitute. So for when I did pipe like this one right here, you're not missing out anything. This one versus this one is the exact same thing. That to me, this one to me makes more sense than this. I think this is very confusing with the whole two symbols here. I think it's very confusing. But if we're running a program and I'm asking you, so what are the errors? What's happening? You would not be, you technically won't be using pipe. You would just be printing out what the error is. Like for example, if I'm asking you, go ahead and send me the tree for this directory, right? This is it. All right. You guys would be, I don't know. Hopefully that works. Okay, so if I go and open this, where's this in? This is in downloads. If I'm trying to give it to you guys, right? States2, let's see, open the folder, states.txt, let's see. There you go, right? So there's use for it, right? There's use for printing or sending the output somewhere else, right? The whole piping is whenever you have multiple functions that you're trying to piece together. Did I kind of explain that question, or was I completely jumbled?
I get what you're saying. I was really asking. I get the like the greater than sign, but the less than sign.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't use it. Okay. I would rather be caught doing this than this one. I think this one is confusing because even you don't have to put sort in front of it. You can put somewhere else. I think this is, I don't know. I find that I don't like this. I don't like this one at all. I think this one will probably start mattering when you start doing some bash scripting. And I would avoid it for now and maybe come back to it later. Just know that it exists, know what it does. But I would say right now, stick to piping.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do echoes. And I would say we're going to practice some of this. Again, this is going to be for whenever we do more bash scripting. I'm not sure if we're going to do it in this class because it's higher level. But for now, let's practice it a little bit, okay? Okay, hold on a second, guys. Okay, I guess I'll stay here until I figure out where my stuff is. Okay, let's do echo. So you guys have practiced echo before. If I said, I love Linux. Oops. It prints to the screen, right? And if I do it with quotes, same thing happens to the screen. Now, if I want to start manipulating what this looks like, I can add the -E and start manipulating things. So anybody knows why we use escape characters? Anyone? No? So usually escape characters are there because you want to use special, so for example, special characters are read differently in your, within the console. So I think, so some of them are gonna be the, where is it? The $. So usually you might, let me see. Yes, of course, okay. If I did, yeah, so what happens is even though I wanted to say, I love Linux, you know, with a $, it's gonna throw an error because it has no idea what's happening. Actually, the $sign is used for variables. So right now it probably thinks that the word love is a variable. So if I really wanted to have that $sign show up, I would probably have to do a backspace. a backslash, sorry. Let's see if it works. There we go. So now I've escaped that character and my console reads it differently. So it's like, oh, so you don't want me to create this as a variable. You want me to actually print out the $sign. Got it. Okay. So there are other things that you could do if you add the -e option. Okay. So maybe I will do B and -b and see what happens to it. I've gotten rid of the spaces. -b, backspace. Okay. So the command line is not reading -b at all. As you can see, it didn't even print it, but it knows that you mean that you want a backspace. If you wanted a backlash, it wouldn't be -b, it would be it would be // and that too would not be read by the command line, right? You'd have your backflashes because I put 2 of them. What if you want new lines? You would do M. If I wanted chars return, I didn't like this one because I feel like it's not. Okay, so what I did is just deleted everything that's behind it. Didn't like it because I feel like, hold on, which one did I do? I think I did this one. Yeah, it started acting funny. So can't really explain that one. So if you want to do your own research on /R, be my guest. Usually, you know, I've never had to use echo for that long. Usually if I use echo, it's in order to code or decode something because I know exactly what I want decoded into a file. All right, let's do horizontal tabs. Again, -e, and then we're going to do a bunch of T's. There you go. An extra tab has been added. And the very last one is going to be vertical tab. Let's see if we can actually put that last one into a file called linux.txt. Would you guys know how to do this? I hope the answer is yes. Oops, definitely not that one. Let's see what happens. Nice. Cool beans. I like it. So usually when it comes to these things, I think the only way for it to really make sense is to kind of like do it as often as possible and see what works and what doesn't work, kind of like I did here, right? Kind of play around with it, see if you can add more than one thing to it. I guess maybe try / and vertical tab and see what happens. I don't know, play around with it. So I'm gonna give you about 15 minutes or maybe 10 minutes to do the first challenge, and then we'll go to the next thing. Or did you guys want me to go straight to the next day 5? Anyone? Hold on, let me pause this, stop this recording.